everyone, and welcome to Taking Over. It's not Marvel Talk, but it is the Marvel Talk duo. I am Ol'Ed Fries, and Astrid is not able to join us tonight. She is feeling a bit under the weather. It is the end of the year, and she deserves a break because she is fantastic. So, since he's already busy and we're already working together, we figured why not bring in my Marvel Talk tag team partner, the man who knows all about New Japan, the man who knows all about Stardom, the man who's going to be interviewing Walker Stewart this week. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Andre, not Astrid C.
That is me. I am not Astrid. I am Andre C. Hello, Astrid, who's in the comments.
Very monkey. Astrid, I like your new beard.
Barry. Yeah, I just grew it out for the show, Gotta do it.
You know what? It's funny. Me and Astrid left a place because of two men in beards, and now Astrid's been replaced by two men in beards.
Oh, Jesus.
But we've got our friend STG212 saying, no, Astrid leaves. Oh, no, please stay. Thank you very much for jumping in. I greatly appreciate it. No, Astrid, again, just to reiterate, is feeling a bit under the weather. She is here in the chat, so if you want to go ahead and chat to her, you very much so can. She will be here throughout most of the show, if not the entire show, giving us her thoughts via comments, as she's just not feeling it for the camera tonight. We got our good friend Bobby Munson joining us. Hello, Mr. Bobby Munson. Thank you for having us on. We greatly appreciate it. Asher says she's going to try to make it through the whole show. Andre, you don't normally watch NXT. What were your thoughts on this show as a whole?
Honestly, I had a really good time with this show. Learning, I got to see some characters that I hadn't seen since the last time I'd jumped on this show with you. And I got to see some former New Japan people, some former ROH people. I had a great time on this show. Lots of great wrestling on this show. I had a great time watching the show overall.
And we're going to start right where NXT picked up with the All or Nothing tag team match. I don't know if you caught enough of it from what was going on commentary, Andre, but Andre Chase University is under siege because Andre Chase gambled away all the money from Andre Chase University. I mean, we've all been there. We've gambled away too much money. But
no,
now the bills are due and he's got to figure something out. So last week he made a deal with OTM. If him and Duke win the tag team match, they get double the money that they had won in the gambling last week. However, if they lost, OTM would get a tag team match against the D'Angelo family, who are conveniently watching from the Eagle's Nest.
I like the Eagle's Nest. I like that little thing there. I do like that.
It's fantastic. I love the Eagle's Nest. They don't call that. That's what our little homemade name for it is. They have no name for it. But I just I just love the Eagle's Nest. Astrid just can't get over Andre's name, apparently. No, what did you think of seeing OTM and Reggie take on Duke Hudson and Andre Chase, or as you may have known him in the indie scene, Harlem Bravado?
Yeah, I thought really fun little match, but the biggest thing for me was Scrypts.
Oh, all right.
I remember being on here a long time back and being really ad about Scrypts and you hating me for it. But I thought a really good match here. And OTM, who I'm not with as a team, I wasn't very super familiar with, did an amazing job here, man. That finisher they do too. Oh, love it.
We've got your tag team partner on Andre and Melball Talks Wrestling, Melball Collins, whom I agree. We talked to Andre earlier today, and Andre and I both agree. I should have, knowing the main event being Dijak versus Eddie Thorpe, asked Mel to be my co-host to go ahead and take care of that match. But hopefully Mel can stay long enough to the end of the show to give her thoughts on Eddie Thorpe versus Donovan Dijak inside or without the ropes in NXT Underground. No, I love this tag team match. OTM is a team that I'm very, very high on into 2024 as we get to the end of the year and we start looking to the future and we look to next year. I expect big things from OTM. They're young, they're hungry. They're not the most crisp in-ring workers, but there's glimmers of hope there. Everything they're doing seems to be with the right intention. They seem to be in the right places, doing the right types of things. I want Lucien Price to stop mimicking Randy Orton a bit because he feels a little Randy Orton. He's been watching Randy his entire life. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see those little bits of pieces of things that he's stealing from Randy Orton. Which, by the way, if you're going to steal from anybody in WWE, you might as well steal from the guy that they say, if you could build a wrestler from the ground up, it would be Randy Orton. Which is as true today as it was when they said it 10 years ago.
It's very true. The guy is since he grew up, the consummate professional, has always had like a very strong ring, bad shoulders, but that's genetics. But
yeah. Barry says dump Reggie. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Reggie needs to go.
Scrypts.
He doesn't fit the aesthetic of the group. Let's put it that way.
Scrypts.
But Andre Chase decides that he needs to have the tag to get the big win, while Duke is running things. He's got everything in his control, but Andre wants the tag, so he gives it to him. And Andre gets kicked in the face, and then they hit their double team tag team move for the finish. They knock down Duke off the apron, and Andre Chase University is broke again.
Yeah, that was the dumbass thought there, man. Because it was like, what the. Like, why? As soon as he tagged, I'm like, they're losing this. As soon as he tagged in, I'm like, they're losing. God damn it.
Andre has made mention on his Twitch stream, because the wonderful thing about this is Andre Chase is always 3/4 in character for his Twitch streams when he streams on Andre Chase University on Twitch. And what I loved is right after we heard that there was a scandal coming, and we heard, things that are going on, he'd be on his streams and being like, look, this is a long-term story. You don't want me to just tell you what's going on now. You want me to kind of let it go. And that was the week the pictures came out. And so it's been bit by bit, we're getting this story. I like that they're cheesy as it is. Oh, Andre Chase with a fake university and the wrestling thing. I like how there's this little story about it. It's corny and dumb, but it fits the Chase University gimmick. And if that's the case, then I'm all for it, because there's room for badass guys like Dijak and Bron Breaker being dudes and having wrestling on your show and having a little bit of entertainment with this Chase U stuff.
Yeah, again, from watching it this week, I found it really fun. And just all I could think was like, seriously, does Chase have something over Duke Hudson keeping him? Because, like, really, if I'm Duke Hudson, I'm dropping this dude.
Yeah, we've been wondering when he was going to turn heel. We've been waiting for it for the entirety of the time that he's been part of Chase U, and he still hasn't done it yet.
Like, he's going to have, like, pictures or something.
We get to our first of three. We get 3 of our first year-end awards, with the year-end award for the Tag Team of the Year, voted on by the fans, going to the Creeds. Makes a lot of sense. Creeds had a fantastic year. Now they're up on the main roster, and they just had a great match with Judgment Day of last week on Raw. Not last night's Raw, but the week before.
Mm-hmm.
We also get Female Superstar of the Year in Tiffany Stratton, which of course means it's only one thing.
All I have to say now is it's Tiffy time. All I have to...
Absolutely. It's Tiffy time. Tiffy was here. She wins Female Superstar of the Year. And how could she not? This girl has been around the title picture for 3/4 of the year. Whenever it came to needing a big match from the women, she delivered. She delivered with Becky. She delivered in Lowell to win the championship. Every time they called on her, she delivered. She brought Thea Hale to a new level. Tiffany Stratton has done everything and anything the company asks and looks like $1 million the whole time.
Dude, I don't even watch NXT regularly. I know who Tiffany Stratton is. Like, she has gotten over to a giant degree, and I'm a fan of her, and I don't even watch NXT regularly.
And then, of course, the fans voted for the Male Superstar of the Year. And surprising to me, the Male Superstar of the Year is not, and I'm going to play something here. It is not this man. No whooping of tricks. No whooping of tricks at all, unfortunately, because Ilya Dragunov is the male superstar of the year. And I get it. He's the champion. People love him. He has this fire and passion that the fan base can get behind. But how is it not Trick Williams?
Because
or as Astrid says, Carmelo Hayes.
Well, okay, Trick has only been, like, really his rise has only been in the back half of this year. In reality, where Ilya was kind of ramping up throughout the entire year.
But since when do people voting on the internet actually go ahead and take into account the entire year and not the thing that just happened that they remember?
No, I agree with you there, but it'll be 2024 year-end award will be Whoop That Trick. Trick Williams will be the winner of that of 2024's Superstar of the Year. I think it's here.
Barry Monkey asks, not Dominic, who rigged the vote? Nobody, because nobody would vote for Dom. I don't even think he was eligible for the vote online. No. Dominic has a case for Superstar of the Year in all of WWE, but not in NXT.
He had some great moments at NXT this year.
He did. But I think his best work has been part of the Judgment Day, and I would feel that the Judgment Day story is more intertwined with the whole main roster than it really is specifically in NXT.
I agree.
We then get Noam Dar coming out before we go. Dominic is the great. I mean, he's absolutely fantastic. He's got the most punchable face in wrestling still. He still has the most punchable face in wrestling. We get Noam Dar coming out for the Heritage Cup Championship match. But first, when we come back from commercial break, we've got Carmelo Hayes talking to Trick Williams backstage. And Trick's like, hey, man, should I go to Shawn Michaels and push the match back? Because Ilya's probably not going to be ready for this. Melo's like, no. You take the match next week. It doesn't matter that he's hurt. You take him next week. But Melo, does that mean you think I can't beat him at full strength? It doesn't matter if I think you can beat him at full strength. You have the opportunity. You earned the opportunity. Wrestle him next week. Don't wait. Nobody's going to remember if you win next week. In 6 months from now, nobody's going to remember that you beat an injured Ilya Dragunov. They're just going to remember that Trick beat Ilya and won the NXT championship.
100%. Like you, if you get a shot, you take it, you punch him in the face. It doesn't matter if he's hurt or not. You punch him in the face, and you punch him in the face repeatedly, and you take it. You just take it.
Yeah. And we'll see what Trick goes ahead and decides on this later in the show. We then get to the Heritage Cup rules match. And Andre, I want to get your thoughts. Go ahead and tell me about what you thought about this match and the rules in general.
Oh, I've watched Heritage Cup matches in the past. When I used to watch NXT UK, so I am very familiar here with. Whoa! Did my partner go away? Interesting. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match overall. I love the round system. I love it's that old school feel. It's that old school style, dating back to the old British wrestling back. Like you talk. If you read William Regal's book, he talks about doing this kind of wrestling back in the day. And I love the difference in it, just with the 3-minute periods. It affords you a little bit different. And Briggs, man, dude, he was so like I would say 3/4 of this match was his match. Like he dominated throughout this. And the size difference was incredible here, man.
Yeah, Josh Briggs has been getting a push as of late when JBL named him to be a contender for the Iron Survivor qualifying matches. We knew right then and there. And when he beat Carmelo Hayes, now granted, shenanigans aside, but he beat Carmelo Hayes to get into that match. In that match, he delivered. He didn't win. I don't think anybody really thought he was going to. But he went in there with some big-ass dudes and held his own and looked great. Barry's saying 3-minute round matches are what I grew up watching. Yeah, in the UK, these types of matches are standard fare.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I love the idea of these rules. And I love how we're finally getting the disqualification aspect into it. In round 2, Josh Briggs gets a very early pin from a clothesline from Hal Almost just over a minute into the second round. And I'm like, ooh, all right. We're getting in here. I like this.
Mm-hmm.
At the middle part of round 4, Lash Legend goes ahead and uses the bucket to hit Josh Briggs. And Noam runs to make the pin because he's done this before, and it's resulted in him getting a big pinfall to turn the tide in the match. But Briggs kicks out. And so Lash and the crew are like, oh no, what do we do now? Like, he kicked out of our big thing. We cheated and he didn't win. So they go ahead and have Jakara distract the referee. They roll the bucket back in, but this time Briggs gets his hand on the bucket. Unfortunately, Briggs has nobody in his corner to tell him the referee is back to watching him. And as he blasts Noam Dar right in the face with the bucket, the referee's right there to see it and disqualify Josh Briggs. In a disqualification, the match is immediately over, and Josh Briggs has unfortunately lost his attempt to win the Heritage Cup.
I have a question. Is this man the dumbest person on the roster?
Which one?
Briggs.
Yes, he's been on the roster for a while.
No, but he's the dumbest person on the roster.
No. I mean, we've got the Candy Crew we got to talk about later. They're pretty dumb.
No, but this was so stupid. Just you're a good guy. For one, you should never I know he's been getting hit with the bucket and shit, but the good guy's never supposed to use the weapon. They're supposed to get it taken away from them. I don't know. Just this whole.
So what they wanted to one of the things that I went what when N said yes. One of the things that I would say is that the story of this match a couple of weeks ago, his tag team partner tried to tell him that this style of match isn't for him. He's a big guy. He's not built for quick rounds, for 3-minute rounds at a time. He's built for go out there and in 5 to 10 minutes just dominate over and over and over again, no break for your opponent, and win matches that way. And Briggs' response to him was, but if I hit him once with one of these just right and he gets knocked out, I win the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has the right idea, which I think is the key here. So yes, is it stupid that he used the bucket? Yes. But Noam's been cheating for 9 months now since this cup's come back into existence. And every time it feels like they just ignore the idea of a disqualification finish. So I like that they've told it now, because I have a feeling that Noam is going to lose this because of a disqualification at some point. Now, I think when he eventually loses it, it may be a disqualification that he loses it to.
Yeah, I really liked this match overall. It was really getting good and really ramping, and then this happened. I was like, But I love me some Noam Dar. Since the guy came around, I've been a big fan of the guy. Every time I play my WWE games, I'll use this guy. I love Noam Dar. I don't know why. I just love this dude.
We got Barry Monkey saying, I think in the 80s, the British had 3-minute rounds as most of the wrestlers were smoking 30 cigarettes a day and drinking heavily and needed regular rests. I mean, it is a purpose of the rounds match.
Well, it goes back into the carnival days, is what it really
it goes way back to the U.S. and the carnivals and needing to keep people's attention. So you would start and stop things in 3 minutes to keep people from walking away, because as soon as they hear the noise, their attention comes back. And if you keep the break short enough, they'll stick around long enough to see what happens next. Speaking of what happens next, we got Axiom sitting backstage talking to Nathan Frazer, and they're talking all kinds of stuff about the Superstar of the Year. But more importantly, Nathan Frazer has some hard-hitting home truths to talk about Bron Breakker. Unfortunately, Bron Breakker was walking up behind him, and Axiom was winking at him from under the mask.
That was so fucking good.
That Nathan Frazer had Bron Breakker behind him.
Oh, so good.
Bron Breakker says, you know what? you talk about how great your speed is, but you know what? I'm such a badass, and this is my own word. My badassery will beat your speed.
Yeah, I don't know. It was so like this. It was a fine little promo, but the Axiom, I was winking under my mask, was just I laughed so hard at that.
This is not the first time; it is the second straight time, and it prompts me to ask the question: whose drink did Nathan Frazer piss in backstage to start getting this? He's now lost to, if I remember correctly, Dijak, Ilya Dragunov, Baron Corbin, and Braun Breaker. Like, this dude is literally the guy to be like, hey, big guy need fight? Here's Nathan Frazer. Beat him up for a bit.
Yeah. I will get into the match when we get to it. Like, it resulted in one of my favorite parts of the night. So
Astrid says Axiom too. Yes, Axiom did beat him in the pre-show at the last pay-per-view. Speaking of people beating up people,
can we go before we go this? I was watching the USA feed for USA Network, and there was a commercial for a thing called Poof, POOPH. I couldn't stop goddamn laughing that entire goddamn commercial.
Have you not seen this commercial for it?
Again, I'm Canadian. This shit doesn't exist. I don't regularly watch television like over the air. I watch my shit through streaming most of the time. But
all right,
dude,
for those that don't understand what Andre is talking about, there is a new product. Astrid says this is the first time seeing that commercial too. Okay, to educate everyone, Poof is a product for animals to remove the scent of them peeing or pooping on the floor. It's to help alleviate the scent. It's to help eliminate the scent. But the wonderful thing about this product is that it's safe for the animals to eat and to touch on. There's no chemicals. It's even safe enough that he sprays it into his own mouth. So the whole point is that it's an all-natural chemical that can help eliminate the scents that animals might leave behind when they do their business. As I saw that, don't clean up vomit, just remove the smell, it said. No, you still clean it up, but this is to help eliminate the smell.
But I like to think, like the first 30 seconds, I thought we were gonna cut to something saying this was a giant joke because of the name, which I've literally put in the middle of my name. That is literally how it's spelled, Poof. And I was laughing so goddamn hard, thinking this is a joke. They're gonna cut to something, but they didn't, and I'm like, oh, this is real. What the fuck?
Available at Walmart. I actually have a bottle of it on order.
There you go.
So I will give a review once the product comes in. But we get to our first women's match of the night, which is Karmen Petrovic taking on Cora Jade. Normally, this is where I would go to my wonderful tag team partner, Ash Bizarre, where she would talk all about the wonderfulness, as she is our women's wrestling expert. Well, I happen to have another women's wrestling expert as a person who covers a lot of Stardom wrestling, which is primarily only women's wrestlers. I don't think Stardom's ever had a men's wrestling match. Andre,
I know of.
What did you think about Cora Jade's return to the ring, taking on Karmen Petrovic?
So Cora Jade used to ride the skateboard, right?
She did.
Okay, so I'm thinking of the right person. Just making sure, because again, some of these people I'm not super familiar with. I have no idea who this Karmen Petrovic girl, but fuck yeah, she has a sword. Let's go. I love it. Okay, this was a really good match. Really fun little match. Jade with that back elbow to the back of the head when Petrovic was on the ropes. Just look, it reminded me of a Will Ospreay style hidden blade to the back of the neck. That looks so good, man. And then Karmen actually hits to pull out Ospreay again. She does that corkscrew into that down kick. Again, Ospreay style. I love it. I loved it so much. Both these girls, I think, like Cora Jade, I've seen a bunch of times. I've seen a bunch wrestle a few times. I think she is really good. But this Karmen Petrovic girl, she's really quite good too. And I really enjoyed both of these two in the ring here.
Yeah, Barry coming in and saying Cora Jade was easily the second best wrestler in this match. I agree. It was an all right match. I wasn't as astounded. I don't get Carmen's whole gimmick, and it's not going to help with Cora Jade being caught on camera and now being memed around the world saying, this isn't karate, it's wrestling to Karmen, and she was caught on camera in a close-up, so that's not going to go well for the rest of us. It was a fine match. It didn't do anything for me, but at the end of the day, the women got some time. It's continuing to tell a story. And the one thing NXT does week in and week out, and again, did it again tonight, telling a multitude of women's stories all at the same time, not all necessarily involving the championship. We have this story between Cora and Karmen. We're going to get in a little while, we're going to get a segment between Ava and Ariana Grace leading to a match that's going to take place next week with Ariana Grace and Roxanne Perez. We already have been reminded that during the Briggs stuff that we've got Fallon Henley versus Tiffany Stratton next week. We've got the women's championship match that we'll get a little bit on and a little bit later on. Like, that's 4 women's stories on this show. Only one of them was a match, and they're still pushing 4 women's stories, not to mention the segment backstage with Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice, who, by the way, is the women's breakout superstar champion, who has that little folder flax with her championship contract in it with the LWO. So just another showcase of those 2 women's talents.
Yeah, like, and like, this is a big thing. Again, I watch Stardom regularly. I love my Stardom. That's where, again, this is where NXT and WWE far surpasses AEW in so many ways, is how they treat women's wrestling. They treat it with such regard, and there's more than one little block for women's wrestling and everything to build. They're gonna have 3 women's matches next week. I'm excited. That's I'm actually going to watch NXT next week because
there are 6 matches on the card next week, and half of them are women's matches.
So I'm saying I'm excited for next week's show because there's a lot of great women's action coming up on that show, which I'm excited to watch.
We got STG. I really like Andre already speaking facts about the differences of women's wrestling. The other thing I want to say about the difference between Stardom and WWE here is, yes, Stardom will give you much more high-quality women's wrestling matches, and it's only women's wrestling because it's an all-women's wrestling promotion. NXT does a very good job of making sure, even if the women don't get a ton of time in the ring, they don't feel like an afterthought in anything they do.
100%.
With the exception of the backstage segment with the LWO, where the women are kind of an afterthought there. Everything else that featured women tonight, they were featured as a portion of it, as opposed to just something on there to give the women the default spot they have to have.
Yeah, and it was a great spot. I even think the LWO spot still was stronger than a lot of AEW's women's spots, 100%. But like with Stardom, it's a whole different story. That's a pure women's promotion. It's all focused on the women. I can't talk in that way, but I like the way I talk versus watching AEW. I'm glad they have women's featured throughout the program and are building to multiple programs at one time.
It's Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk, right? The YouTube channel?
Yes, sir.
All right. I've thrown the link in all of the chats, but if you want to go ahead and hear more about what Andre has to say about women's wrestling, men's wrestling, New Japan, and Stardom, go ahead and give them a follow right here. They're going to be covering later on this week. They're going to be covering the Queen of Stardom show, I think it's called.
Dream Queendom.
Dream Queendom. Later on this month, right before they cover Wrestle Kingdom this weekend. And before they cover Wrestle Kingdom, again, Walker Stewart, the voice of New Japan English commentary, now that Kevin Kelly has walked away for a little bit here, potentially permanently. You never know.
No, he's gone permanently. He's part of AEW now.
Well, yeah, but you never know if he'll come back again. But, Walker Stewart does a fantastic job along with Chris Carlton over there in NJPW in the New Japan world. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And if you don't know much about New Japan, go ahead and spend the $10. Spend the $10. Listen to me right now. Spend the $10 and watch Wrestle Kingdom. Mm-hmm. If for nothing else, you're going to get, if I remember correctly, you're going to get Okada versus Bryan 2.
Yep, Okada Bryan 2. Osprey,
Tanahashi,
Moxley, and Finley. There's so much great content.
And of course, it's main evented by Naito versus Sonata.
Yes, you got it.
It's the LIJ match that I've been waiting years for.
Yeah, finally gonna get it.
I've seen Sonata with the hair down before he stopped putting the hair down at his local show here for Ring of Honor. It's fantastic. But again, we diverge just a little bit. We're going to get back to the NXT show here, but I wanted to give a plug for Andre because of the fact that they do such great work there. And we were talking about the women's wrestling and the differences between Stardom and NXT. Andre, this is a question for you, and you can probably more have an answer for it later on, but if you can give a basic answer now, does Tanahashi being named president mean his in-ring days are over?
No, and Inoki wrestled for years and years after becoming the president of, well, I guess at that point it was just New Japan. It wasn't, yeah, but no.
GP New Japan.
Yeah, or it was his version, but he was, and I think Tanahashi is actually in a great position to be a wrestler president and can speak to it from a locker room perspective. So actually, it's a great thing he's still in the ring.
Also, Tanahashi needs to lessen his dates in the ring. As much as I adore Go Ace, the man needs to lessen a little bit.
Yeah.
Baranuki's right too. Get Access TV. If you're in the States, get Access TV and you get access to Impact / TNA and New Japan all at the same price on the same night. It is a bargain.
Mm-hmm. Lots of great content there.
But again, STG, if you go ahead and give that YouTube channel a follow that I talked about, you can go ahead and listen to Andre and Melball. Check out some of their content. They do fantastic work over there. It will be much worth your time. And yes, you get GYV now too. Okay, we need to start talking about NXT again. The year-end awards are next week. Next week for the year-end awards, we get to talk about all the other companies. This week it's about NXT. We get Riley Osborne versus Lexis King.
Okay, Lexis King looks like the hip young minister at somebody's church. That's what the vibe he gave off to me.
Yeah, well, I'm. That may be more or less relevant when you find out that somebody tried to call his fan base the Lexus offenders, the Lex sex offenders.
Oh, fucking Jesus.
Yeah. So put that with your church comment and just let that go where it goes. Anyways, we have Trey. Oh, hold on. We got Astrid going googly-eyed like Tia Hale was in this match. Astrid goes googly-eyed for Riley Osborne. But Riley Osborne and Lexis King, they have a fun match here. Nothing great. It's a bit of a... It's not a great match. It's not a bad match. It's a good TV match. They didn't get a ton of time, but they made it count where they did. I think Lexis King is getting better and better and more accustomed to the NXT style a bit more every week. I think he's adapting the things he does to get there. They really still, I know we didn't see it in this match. They need to change his finisher because his finisher sucks in WWE. That being said, Trey Bearhill, my man Trey Bearhill on the outside, sitting in his chair, gets his chair up, closes it, and starts clanging his hand against it, or as I called it, his bear claw in my notes, because he's Bearhill. And it distracts Lexis just enough to get pushed off the top rope, and Riley Osborne hits a shooting star press for the 1, 2, 3. Riley shocks the world and defeats Lexis King to move on to the finals of the men's breakout tournament. Whom will he take on? Will it be Tavion Heights? Or will it be Oba? We'll tell you later. Andre, what did you think about this match?
Fun little match. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Lexis when he was in AEW. I'm still not a fan of him here. He screams, I'm a second generation guy. Look at me, look at me, look at me. I've got no actual substance to me. Riley Osborne, though, I thought really good. That SSP at the end looked phenomenal. The kid's got some talent, and he will go far.
And of course, he gets out of the submission holds. And if you believe Vic Joseph, he solely got out of the submission hold because he was staring into the eyes of Thea Hale, and her energy gave him the ability to get out of that. Oh my God, I wanted to puke.
Love conquers everything.
No, he was looking at Jade. He doesn't even see Thea Hale.
Love conquers all.
She is going to get her poor little heart broken, and I am going to laugh so hard. Oh, I've come a long way on Thea Hale, but you know what? I still like to see her in pain, and I can't wait for when JC screws her over and steals this man. Barry Monkey says, I agree with you. And I know exactly what this is about. This is about Lexis King having little substance and just being a second-generation talent.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree. I think he's less substances than most second-generation talents. I will say, though, that I like the fact that he's trying to use his father's legacy and do it in a different way than most second-generation talents. He feels more Michael McGillicuddy than some of these other second-generation talents like Ted DiBiase Jr., who are just going to be a knockoff of their dad and just try to get over with that gimmick. Whereas at least this guy's trying something different.
Yeah. Again, I hope he finds it, because he sure didn't find it in AEW. I hope he finds it here. But right now, Lexis King is at most a pauper to me.
And you know what? It's fine. He's only been here for a few months. He's got time. It's going to be okay. Isn't Ted DiBiase Jr. going to jail? Yeah, I think he is. Much like his dad, he's getting himself into trouble. His dad turned his life around, became a minister. So, who knows?
Wasn't his dad involved in this shit that Ted DiBiase Jr. is going to jail for?
Probably. I don't know enough to speak too highly on it, so I'm going to say check Google and see what kind of things you can find from reliable news sources. That means news sources that aren't the dirt sheets. Go to something like TMZ. Go to something like a newspaper, an Associated
Not
Press.
TMZ. They're worse than the goddamn dirt sheets.
Not when people get into legal trouble. When people get into legal trouble, that man, because he was part of the People's Court, knows exactly what he can and can't print.
True.
Anyways, we get a couple more year-end award. But before we do that, we got Barry saying he's copying Dominic. No. Nobody should copy Dominic, especially not his hairstyle. The only thing people should try to copy Dominic about is being with mommy. That's the only thing people should want to copy Dominic about.
And he even copied that. And even Dominic copied that.
From Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, he did.
Or Buddy Matthews, I think his name is now.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
By the way, there's a great thing online. I forget where I saw it, but there was an interview where somebody asked her about, after saying TMZ, come on it. You know what? When people get into legal trouble, the first place I go is TMZ. Why? Because the guy who runs TMZ used to be part of the People's Court. He was the legal correspondent for the People's Court, which means he knows his legal shit, which means whatever he may or may not print is probably more often true than not when it comes to legal situations. Not rumors, not, this celebrity's cheating on this. Don't go to them for that shit. But if you want to know if somebody's getting arrested for something, go to TMZ for that, because they have much better sourcing for things like that because of the context they have.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where I was. Year-end awards. Year-end awards. Match of the year. It should have been the male Iron Survivor match. However, the match of the year voted on by the fans, No Mercy, Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov 2.
I've seen that match.
It's a great match. I saw Carmelo Hayes live in Lowell taking on Bron Breakker to defend his title. I thought that was a really good match. I really thought the Iron Survivor would get it. Again, I thought recency bias would get that Iron Survivor higher in these votings. I was surprised it didn't. Moment of the year was an obvious one. I completely agree. Moment of the year was The Undertaker showing up on NXT the night that NXT decided to say, fuck you, AEW. You come to our night, we're going to put you in the ground.
It's true.
Or as Undertaker would say, we're going to bury you like a dog. Yes, the night that Undertaker shows up and shows that Bron Breakker, that there's always a bigger, badder, older dog in the yard just waiting to prove who's the baddest.
I'm sorry. They have to give Bron Breakker a receipt at some point of him putting down Taker at some point on the main roster. They have to.
Probably, but I like the idea that at least on that one night, Braun Breaker got to get into a small altercation with John Cena, have John Cena and Paul Heyman ringside for his match, and then get put down by The Undertaker after losing a match. Like,
100%.
if you're gonna be Braun Breaker and you're going to have to get put down by The Undertaker, at least you got put over 3 times in one night by 3 Hall of Famers to do so.
It's true.
Like, it doesn't hurt Braun Breaker in the slightest. Better people than Braun Breaker have been chokeslammed by The Undertaker and go on to much better careers.
The next member of the bloodline, Braun Breaker.
Potentially. Like, it's not that bloodline, but it fits. He is part of a bloodline. Anyways, we get update from Assistant Ava backstage. Yes, the return of Assistant Ava. I'm so happy for this.
Yeah, I was wondering, is she a GM or something? Is what I'm so confused.
So here's the thing. She was part of the schism. The schism broke up because GYV left and Joe Gacy said, well, without the GYV, there's nobody here left for me. And Ava's like, but I'm still here. And he's like, nope, there's nobody left for me here. Ava, you got to go find your own bloodline to get yourself involved with. And then Ava hasn't had anything to do. So they had her backstage and there was a brawl in the women's locker room one night. And she decided to go to go to Shawn Michaels and get a match made. To go ahead and be like, hey, this thing happened backstage. Can we make a match for it? And then randomly, she started popping up being the voice of Shawn Michaels on a week-to-week basis on here, which I'm fine with because you know what? They're perfectly clear telling us that she's not making matches. She's not in charge. She's just the voice of Shawn Michaels telling them all the decisions that HBK is making.
Whatever. Next week, we're going to get the real authority back, and it'll be fucking William Regal. It'll all be better next week.
Is it January 1 when the contract runs out that he can't be on TV?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know the exact date on the ending for when he couldn't be on TV because I thought it was 25.
It might be. I don't know. It was one. Everything I've been talking about. It was everywhere. It's been talking about him back on TV in January. So
maybe I wouldn't mind it. He was on. He was brought up in something that branches both of our worlds here. I believe it's All Japan.
We'll talk about We'll talk about it when we get to that.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But Ava says that there's no update officially on Ilya Dragunov, that the doctors haven't seen him since last week when he went to the hospital, but he will be here tonight to decide whether or not he's going to move the title match or take it next week as it is supposed to be. And then we get Nathan Frazer versus Braun Breaker. And this match went way longer than I thought it was going to.
Me too.
These guys got 2, maybe 3 segments. I think they had a bit, commercial break, more match, commercial break, and then a bit more match on it. So I think it was a 3-segment match.
It was great, man. These two killed it. If it wasn't for the goddamn main event, this was easily match of the night. If it wasn't for the main event. Like, Nathan Frazer, I have seen Braun Breaker multiple times. Nathan Frazer, I've only seen him wrestle a couple times. Man, this kid is just on fire, man. These two back and forth. That finish, though, the Phoenix splash into the spear, just so good.
Could you tell by watching him wrestle who his trainer is?
Who's his trainer?
Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense with the kicks, especially the kick.
He's the first official television, wrestling graduate of the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy.
Makes sense.
I mean, he learned before there, but he did train under Seth Rollins. It is canon event that he and Seth had a moment backstage where they called the teacher and student. So they've made it canon in WWE. Much in the same way Shawn Michaels trained Daniel Bryan.
Well, no, it's the same way Lance Storm with a lot of guys that are coming through his school. There's some that are brand new that go to school, but there's a lot of guys. I remember years ago, there came in like 4 or 5 Australians who were wrestling regularly in Australia, came up, wrestled in worked with him for 3 months, and one of them was Peyton Royce. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's a lot of training schools train people who have already been trained. It just makes them better.
Astrid going ahead and saying, yes, her favorite to talking about Seth Rollins. I just love the Shawn Michaels trained Daniel Bryan one because of the fact that Shawn Michaels wasn't at the school. It was his school, but he wasn't teaching there at the time. Daniel Bryan was a student there.
It was Frankie Kazarian.
It was Kazarian. Yes, it's Frankie K. But no, I love this. I love Bron. Bron is such a great in-ring worker. If only they could give him a mouthpiece that makes him a more viable, entertaining person. His ring work is getting better and better. His fluidity into some of these movements, especially with a guy like Nathan Frazer, was off the charts this week. We hadn't seen a lot of that with him working with such a small guy since he worked with Carmelo Hayes. He's been working with a lot of big guys after that. He worked with Carmelo. He worked with Trick. He worked with Corbin. He's worked with Ilya. A lot of these guys are a bit bigger, a bit more on the muscle. And then you have the four guys, the three guys that were bigger than him, and Tyler Bate in the men's Iron Survivor. But absolutely fantastic. But the most important thing about this match, I think, was the ending, where after the match, Baron Corbin was seen watching the TV screen and walked away. I'm interested to see where that goes. Nice to see Baron Corbin back after taking a week off to go talk to Taylor Swift at a Chiefs game.
Hey, when you have a chance to hang out with Taylor Swift, you do it. Simple as that. I don't care. You can hang out with Taylor Swift. You hang out with Taylor Swift.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I'm waiting to get yelled at in the comments. Hold on. I'm gonna literally pause the show while I wait for Astrid to have heard me say that you don't hang out with Taylor Swift.
She agrees with me.
All right.
Yeah. See, I'm right.
After we get the match between Braun Breaker and Nathan Frazer here, we get Drew Gulak and the Cotton Candy Crew, the No Quarter Catch Club, or whatever the fuck they're called. I call them the Gulak and the Candy Crews. You've got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You've got the Oompa Loompa Damon Kemp. And then you got Miles Bourne. We don't make fun of Miles Bourne because he's the first deaf professional wrestler that in the WWE. He's putting on a lot of good work out there. He's fantastic. I love him to death.
I guess, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound bad. He wouldn't be able to hear you if you made fun of him anyways.
Yeah, but we're not going to do it anyways. We're not going to make fun of him because he's fantastic. But unfortunately, he's part of the Candy Crew, so.
But so is Charlie Dempsey. He's really fucking good.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, don't make fun of him. He's awesome.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But no, for those that did miss it, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to Andre about this right now. There was a segment, I believe, on All Japan's YouTube, Twitter channel, whatever it might be. I don't know. I think it was on YouTube too, but I know it was on Twitter, where the guy who runs it is apparently with three young ladies, and he's bashing things off the top of his head, and I don't understand what's going on there.
Me either. I was so confused.
He gets a call from WWE that they want to go ahead and have a working partnership, and they have a big show coming up, and they're having a triple threat match for one of their championships. And NXT has agreed to send. Oh.
No, what it is there's a singles match happening on December 29th or December 31st between Katsuhiko Nakajima and Kento Miyahara for the Triple Crown Championship. The winner of that faces Charlie Dempsey, who is being sent over on January 3rd. So he will not be part of this 6-man tag match.
Yeah, they were very clear to say that it'll be 3 members.
Yeah, not Charlie Dempsey. That's for goddamn sure. He'll be in Japan.
Technically, he could make the trip back if he tried, because the match for All Japan is on the 3rd. The match isn't until Tuesday on the 5th.
No, Tuesday's the 2nd, bud. And the match happens about 5 or 6 hours later.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's all the 2nd. It's not happening.
Yeah, the match is literally about 6 hours later in Japan.
Maybe he can make it. Time travel. No. But the best part was his dad was the one to make the announcement on Twitter that they were sending him. For those that don't know, Charlie Dempsey's dad is William Regal. He was very happy to send him over there.
Yeah, dude, it's an insane good opportunity for his son. Math ain't nothing. Not Hermione.
I mean, no, he's obviously not Hermione.
He's more of a Ron. He's more of a Ron, but
he's more of a Crabbe or a Goyle. But that's
okay. He's a Neville Longbottom. Is that better?
No, because Neville's great. Anyways,
yeah,
Gulak and the Candy Crew start talking about this challenge to the LWO, and they start talking about how each of them get their part to talk about why the ground wrestling is more important and why the ground wrestling is better. And they all actually cut really decent promos here about why it is.
Mm-hmm.
But Gulak said something that brought me all the way back to 205 Live. He says that the no-fly zone is back, and I got excited. Are we going to get Drew Gulak with the PowerPoint presentation again?
Dude, I remember those days. Fuck, that was so good.
Yep, he's bringing back the no-fly zone to take on the LWO. Oh, it just made my little heart go a little bit because, it was so great to hear him talking about the no-fly zone. Nobody references 205 Live enough on WWE television.
No.
We then get a backstage segment with Briggs, Jensen, and Fallon Henley all talking about the cup match and how...
I was so confused by this.
Okay. So Briggs and Jensen are a tag team.
Oh, I know this, but like, what the fuck happened here?
So what happened was when Briggs beat Noam Dar in a singles match, he was like, oh, well, I'm going to challenge for the cup. And his tag team partner, Brooks Jensen, was like, look, I love you and all, but you're not built for cup matches.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be taking on this type of a match. But Briggs is like, no, I'm going to do it anyways. And he's like, all right, then me and Fallon will be out there with you to counteract metaphor so that you don't get caught up in the numbers game. And Briggs said, no, I'm going out there by myself. This is something I have to do on my own, which is why he was by himself, which is why his dumbass got disqualified because he used the bucket because his teammates weren't out there to stop them from using the bucket.
Mm-hmm. But like, why did they break up? Like, wouldn't it make more sense for Briggs to double down on this being his team and the next time he faces Dar to have his team in his corner? Wouldn't that have made more sense?
So yes, but Jensen's getting sick and tired of being second fiddle. He's noticing that. So both of his teammates were both put into Iron Survivor qualifying matches. One won their match. One won the last chance match. Both of them were in the Iron Survivor at deadline. Jensen's being left behind. He knows it. He sees it. So he wants to be the bigger man and be like, look, Briggs, I get it. You want to be a single star. You didn't want to be a tag team guy to begin with. You wanted to be a singles guy. So I'm going to let you go be a single star. Fallon, you're finally getting better. You know, you're better. You're better. You need to broaden your horizons, spread your wings. You need to go ahead and go out on your own. So they go ahead and they decide to break up and they do the Shield fist bump. And Fallon walks away and says that she loves them. Briggs, before they did it, says that he loves them both. And then he quietly walks away. And Jensen's just there, left for like a dumbass with his hand out, waiting for somebody to give him a fist bump.
The last thing I remember from Fallon Henley was her dating one of these dudes, wasn't she?
No, so Jensen was dating Kiana James, and Fallon was trying to stop Kiana from cheating on him because she hated Kiana and she thought Kiana was only dating him to get to her because of the fact that it was irking her. No, she never dated either one of them. It was a long story that I wish would have ended way back then, but it didn't. Another key note about this is at a pre-show for an NXT TV show, they had a match between Brooks Jensen and somebody. But because it was non-televised, WWE broke out Journey's Worlds Apart for Brooks Jensen's entrance music. And the footage made it online that Brooks Jensen came out to Journey at the Performance Center in an NXT match.
Hmm.
So it sounds like they've been building towards, and coming off the Deadline match where Josh Briggs, poured his heart out and had a really great match, seeing his performance tonight, it's obvious that in the next year, in 2024, Josh Briggs is going to be a serious contender for, if it's not the North American Championship, potentially for the NXT title going forward into 2024. So it's nice to see them get rid of the tag team stuff. Don't do the New Japan of it. I know you love New Japan, but don't do the New Japan of it all where everybody has to have their alliances and their friends, and just let guys go out on their own and be their own solo dude. Not everybody needs to be grouped up. Not everybody needs a faction. And by breaking it off nicely like this, you give the opportunity where you can bring Jensen back in to help out Briggs if he needs to. But you can start pushing Briggs on his own.
And you start pushing Jensen on his own, too.
I mean, sure, if you have to, I guess.
Well, he's going to come up the journey. Come on.
Astrid didn't like this. I don't think it's for him. I thought they used him as a spitball. I think if they're going to use it for anybody, I think it's going to be for Briggs. Because I don't think Jensen's... Like, if you're paying money for Journey, you're going to be pushing that star to the fucking moon. And I don't see them pushing Jensen to the moon.
Oh, yeah, it'll definitely be Jensen.
By the way, if you are going to buy a song from Journey, why is it Worlds Apart? Like, Worlds Apart's not even one of their better songs.
It better not be Don't Stop Believing, because that'd be the worst song.
Nobody can afford not even Tony Khan has money for Don't Stop Believing.
It's true.
Getting back to, we have Assistant Ava, and she's approached by Ariana Grace. For those that don't know,
I had no idea who this chick was. I'm like,
you will the moment I say something. Bianca Sorelli.
Oh shit, she's Santino's kid. Yeah.
Yep, this is Santino's daughter, Bianca, otherwise known in NXT as Ariana Grace. She is Miss NXT because she does beauty pageants alongside her wrestling career, and she was doing a beauty pageant while she was injured from NXT after getting hurt in the ring during her first TV stuff earlier this year. She got hurt, so she started doing pageant work while she was rehabbing.
Great storyline here. Tiffany Stratton demands that she give over the Miss NXT crown because she is Miss NXT technically, because she won the award.
Yeah. But the storyline here is that Ariana is upset about a tragic event that happened in the women's locker room where she was assaulted by Roxanne Perez. And you can apparently still see a little bit of the marks on her face, but because of her beautiful bone structure, you really can't tell, and it doesn't hurt that much. But she thinks that Roxanne needs anger management. And so she asks Ava, what's the next steps for getting her the anger management? And Ava goes, well, Roxanne had a different idea to have a match with you next week. And Ariana's like, yeah, well, that was obviously denied, as obviously Shawn Michaels is a smart man, so he wouldn't do that. And he's like, no, it wasn't denied. It was approved. You versus Roxanne next week. Ariana was not a happy camper.
No, she was not.
We got HPC bad guys giving all smiles, talking about Ariana Grace and Tiffany Stratton. Like, Ariana Grace is fantastic. Like, she embodies this character that she's decided to go with, this Miss NXT, this model pageant person. I love the idea, and that she never seems to drop the character. Like, she's constantly doing whatever's best for the character. A couple weeks ago, she lost the match, and as soon as she got her wits about her, she put her little crown back on and started waving again.
Well, if she even has a fraction of her dad's acting and charisma, she will be amazing. Because Santino was never the greatest professional wrestler, but nobody can argue that he is arguably the best character that WWE ever had.
Let's put it this way:
performer for character. I don't think there's any much better than him. And if she has a fraction of what he had, she'll be awesome.
There was a time where Santino was so over in a small 2-month period. He almost won the King of the Ring. And 2, when they didn't give her the King of the Ring, they seriously considered making him the champion inside the Elimination Chamber. And before you go, oh, that was the Intercontinental title. No, they were going to put the world title on Santino Marella going into WrestleMania. Backstage people have said there were serious considerations for putting the title on Santino Marella heading into WrestleMania. Now, he would not have been in the Mania match. They would have taken the title off of him on television beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But think about the fact that you imagine taking the title off Seth to put it onto Dominic Mysterio, only to put it back onto Seth on television.
Yeah, but in our world, Dominic winning the title would be a great champion to go forward for the next 5 years. So you wouldn't have to take it off, but take it off of Dominic.
Yeah, but you wouldn't put the title on Dominic now going into WrestleMania. No. STG says, isn't Santino a jobber now? No, Santino's not necessarily a jobber as he is a legend.
No, he's the director of authority in TNA, ladies and gentlemen.
He's the dictator of authority.
Whatever it is now, but it's the... Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't call him a jobber. His career is behind him at this point now. It's not so much. So there's a level that your career gets to where you stop being a jobber and you start becoming a legend who puts talent over. You don't win many matches unless you're on the indies, and most of your time spent in the ring is going out there and losing to guys to make them a bigger star. That's the level of where Santino is now. It's not like a Heath Slater where his job is to go out there and lose to make guys look good. It's not like a Drew Gulak whose job is to go out there and make guys look good. He's a legend. He's not meant to win matches. He's meant to bring in a crowd and then make a younger talent get over a bit more.
100%.
We then somehow get Sarah Schreiber on NXT. I don't know why we had Sarah Schreiber backstage when we have a perfectly good Kelly Kincaid, and we just got rid of a perfectly good Mackenzie Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still upset that they got rid of Mackenzie Mitchell.
I know my buddy Boris over at SNME is not happy about that.
I like Kelly Kincaid. She's fine. For those that don't know, she was Quinn McKay in Ring of Honor. She's talented. She's fine. She does a great job backstage. But Mackenzie had that special feeling about her.
And I'm gonna call it Quinn does not have the feeling that she had in ROH.
No, she doesn't feel as special in NXT because remember, she hadn't been seen much. So they're now just developing her personality now because everything was Mackenzie Mitchell until the last 3 months where they started slowly filtering in a little bit more Kelly Kincaid and a little bit less Mackenzie Mitchell. But she sits down and she talks to Lyra Valkyria and Blair Davenport about next week's women's NXT championship match. And I like Lyra blasts Blair about being a dastardly heel and taking advantage of people when their backs are turned. And Blair makes sure to remind her that the only reason why her and Lyra haven't wrestled before in the past is because Lyra got a convenient leg injury around the same time that her and Blair were supposed to face off in NXT UK, and that she wouldn't be anywhere near where she is if it wasn't for being on TV with Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch to get her to where she is. On top of that, Blair, to defend herself, says, yeah, I may have taken a shortcut here or there to get where I am, but in the Iron Survivor match, I was the one left standing, and I was the one who won that match against 4 other women. It was me who did that. I didn't have to cheat to win. I just won. Hunter, do you have anything else going on here about this match and what you're looking forward to next week? As you said, you are going to be watching this match.
Oh, I'm just looking for this match. I'm a big Blair Davenport fan, back from her time in Stardom and doing stuff over in Japan. I'm a big fan of her already. I'm just looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be a good time. I've seen some of the stuff in the champion. She's very good, and I think they're going to have a great match. I always mess it up because the Ty Valkyrie, Lyra Valkyria, and Blair Davenport are going to have a killer match.
And also, as we get ready to stop talking about Blair Davenport, because this is really the last time we're going to talk about her tonight, I want to go ahead and give congratulations to Blair Davenport as her and Riley Osborne went ahead and got engaged this weekend off television, not real, but in real life, not an NXT storyline, but in real life, Riley Osborne and Blair Davenport are now engaged. And man, there was a post talking about the couples in NXT, and man, those people are coupled up hard in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
There are a whole bunch of couples in that promotion, more than you think, and some strange ones that you wouldn't think about.
Yeah, there's a bunch, like a bunch.
Carmelo Hayes is dating Kalani Jordan. Blair Davenport is now engaged to Riley Osborne. Not HPC. I saw the comment from HPC bad guys, and I saw it. Tatum Paxley is engaged to Javier Bernal. Obviously, you have. I'll throw her in there, even though it's not really. You got Quinn McKay. Kelly Kincaid is dating one half of Pretty Deadly. I believe it's Elton Prince, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, you've got Cora Jade and Bron Breakker. Can't forget about them. And there's a couple other ones. Oh, Thea and Nathan. Yes, that's the one I was forgetting. Thea and Nathan. Yes, Bron and Cora. I remembered that one at the end. Astrid's now listening them for me as I forgot them. HPC Bad Guy says, not feeling the NXT Underground match. Didn't like it much on Raw either. We'll bring this comment back up and get more thoughts on this as we get to the main event here. Because I think the two of us are going to respectfully disagree. But the great thing about wrestling is you can respectfully disagree with people and have a differing opinion. You can respectfully disagree with people.
Never. Tribalism.
Speaking of things that nobody can disagree with, Femi is fantastic, and Femi defeats Tavion Heights.
I thought I was watching the dude from Raw, the big giant black dude from Raw. I thought I was watching him. I thought I was just watching him wander around the ring the whole time.
No. This is Femi, the dude. As I called him, Femi is the black version of Joe Coffey, because he has this green ring gear on and he looks a little bit like Joe Coffey, which is funny because Joe Coffey's match follows this. And when I went, no, I correct myself. Joe Coffey's the white version of Femi.
All I could think of the entire time was Omos. So, yeah.
Melbo says, I just noticed Andre wearing a sweater. Love that blue on you, partner. What did you so you thought you were watching Omos? Is that a good or a bad thing about Omos?
Oh, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. I would don't get me wrong, the power's impressive, but he's just like every other big dude. I much prefer Tavion Heights in this match. I didn't see it in Femi. I really didn't.
Oh, I highly disagree. You also haven't seen Femi throw an entire sofa either, though. You got to remember that Femi's so strong that he can lift and throw a sofa. And you've seen how heavy sofas are, man.
I can throw a sofa. It's not that hard. You just lift it and you throw it.
Yes, but he can lift it up in the air and throw it, as opposed to just pushing it.
I can lift a couch and throw it. Not that hard. Not that hard.
We'll make sure that we'll make it a Taking Over Extra next week, that we get footage of Andre throwing a couch next week.
I don't have couches that I can throw, man. Jeez, I can't throw my
couches. I guess you can't do it. Ilya arrives at the arena very, very late, considering it's already 9:15 on the show. Ilya's finally getting to work. It's a bad time for Ilya to finally getting here. Astrid agrees. We need evidence, Andre. Can't just go ahead and make claims like that. We're going to need some evidence.
Okay, I'll throw Mel's couch around this weekend.
There we go. That's what we're looking for. Ilya says that he's looking to talk to Trick Williams, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody other than Trick. He's wearing a neck brace, and it continues with the same storyline as we see footage of last week, where Ridge Holland had accidentally injured in Ilya Dragunov, and he posted a tweet where he said, "I'm sorry, Ilya, this wasn't my fault. I feel bad. This isn't who I am." And all I could think of is, oh God, they're making Ridge Holland the next Gene Snitsky. It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, I really hope they got the sign off from Big E before they did this angle. I really do.
Big E has openly forgiven, and the entire New Day has spoken outwardly about how Ridge Holland is completely non.
I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
This is a callback, though.
Yeah.
To the Big E stuff. So I'm hoping they at least consulted the guy, saying, "Hey, we're gonna do this. Are you cool with that?" Just. I know he's not he's not mad at Ridge, but just from a decent human perspective, I hope they talk to Big E before going ahead with this angle.
And the thing I'll say about that is, if Vince were still running the show, I would say no, they probably didn't. They just probably went ahead and did it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
However, from what we can tell, Triple H and Shawn Michaels have been much more in touch with the mental health of their talent and making sure that their talent's physical and mental health are taking a bit more care of. In case in point, tonight was the first night that superstars were back from Christmas break. Nobody had worked actual in-ring shows since last Monday. And tonight was the first night that there were live shows again.
What about Friday?
Friday was not a live show.
Oh.
Friday was a tape SmackDown.
Oh, okay.
That was NXT last Tuesday.
Okay.
All WWE talent had been off since last Monday night. After the Raw crew finished, that was the last show that any of the talent did, unless there might have been a live event Tuesday or Wednesday, but by Thursday or Friday, all of the talent were off. There were no live shows over the Christmas break. And the talent were back tonight, as we saw CM Punk coming back to the Garden tonight on Twitter. If you look on there, you'll see all kinds of stuff like that. He even got Lisa Ann to come to the Garden tonight to watch CM Punk. So, yeah, they're at MSG tonight. One of two shows. There was a secondary show where they didn't have CM Punk somewhere else, I believe, that wasn't the Garden tonight. But I know they were at the Garden as they start. But like I said, that's more than ever, because Vince McMahon is not one to. They've done live shows on Christmas Eve before. So to have Triple H being like, no, talent's getting at the minimum 5 days off before they had to travel last night, to get to MSG. And by the way, traveling to get to MSG, no matter where you are, isn't that big a deal. MSG is a very easy place to travel to because New York is a hub. Every place in the world goes to New York. So at least it's a big show that's easy to get to. Like I said, we had Oba Femi in the match before. Right here, we got Joe Coffey taking on Joe Gacy, the Battle of the Joes, and this severely confused Booker T on commentary.
I'm sorry. That guy fucking sucks at commentary.
Yes, he does.
Oh, my Christ.
I was going to keep quiet about it, but like you pointed out, dude, he fucking sucks. He was calling Briggs Jensen by the wrong name.
Yes, he was calling Briggs Jensen. He literally said Jensen, and I was like, oh, that's definitely not who that is.
Right, he's calling Briggs Jensen. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yep. And he couldn't get over Joe versus Joe and all the Joes chat, and he was getting very confused. Booker's been hit on the head a couple times, but you know what you need? When you got somebody like Booker there, you know what you need to do? You need to get rid of him and get somebody like Walker Stewart in there to go ahead and call the action for you.
No, he stays in New Japan.
No. We're gonna bring him to the WWE. It's everybody's goal to work in WWE. We're gonna bring Walker over here.
No.
He's gonna work with Vic Joseph. He's gonna learn at the feet of Michael Cole. He's gonna become the future of WWE. It's gonna be fantastic, Andre.
No.
But if you do want to hear Walker Stewart, make sure you check out Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk on the first, I believe, is when you guys were releasing it, right?
On the first.
January 1. What do you think of Joe Coffey and Joe Gacy here?
I'll admit I was playing on my phone during this match. I'm not as I used to be really on the Gallus train, not so much anymore, and I could give two shits about Joe Gacy anymore. So
you know who is a big Gallus fan? Astrid knows. It's Mark Talks Wrestling, and Mark Talks Wrestling is a fantastic guy. He's getting us a new way to go ahead and make our shorts on the our local establishment side, at least for the Taking Over side. And we might even have some new graphics courtesy of Mark Talks Wrestling in the future. But we do want to go ahead and say that, Mark, you got your Gallus boys right here. Gallus boys on top, right, Mark? He hates Gallus. I love it.
And who the heck are Hank and Tank?
Okay. So Hank Walker is a former security guard who won some kind of competition thing to be able to have a challenge to get on the roster. And then Tank Ledger is a guy who they signed through the NIL program, where they sign these professional athletes from these colleges to guarantee them careers post NCAA. So it's part of it's called NIL, next in line.
Yeah, so it locks them in, and they get paid while at school, and they're not locked into going WB, because if they can get a shot at whatever profession they're.
Yes, they have many outs to go do whatever sport they're playing, but should they not be able to go pro in whatever sport they're playing or whatnot, they have a signed WWE contract where WWE is training them and getting them ready for the world of professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. Most of the breakout tournament stars, most of them are all NIL people. Mm. And as Melball Collins says, Marky Mark.
I'm surprised she's not yelling about me wanting to throw her couch. That's the thing I'm most surprised about.
Maybe she wants to get a new couch and she needs you to throw it out the window. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess I'm throwing her couch on the weekend.
Yeah. After we get
that Gacy upside down, like the springboard upside down into the lariat, that was pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, the upside down is. By the way, the upside down is just a bad version of a lethal injection, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Melball Collins, on the talk of throwing her couch, says she'd love to see you try. So see, Andre, my tag team partner says you can't do it. I say you can't do it. Your own tag team partner says that you can't do it. So apparently next week we're going to either have footage of Andre going to the hospital after attempting to throw Mel's couch. Andre, she's going to film the attempt for you.
I'm not throwing your couch. I'm going to damage the rest of your apartment. And I got to protect the tacos.
I guess you're not as strong as Femi. You're not as good as Femi. That's all it is. We get the LWL backstage with Dragon Lee as they accept the Candy Cruise challenge for next week at New Year's Evil. And then, again, like I said, women's wrestling matters in NXT. We have Elektra Lopez, who was part of the what was before the LWO, which was Santos Escobar's group. Crap, Astrid, I did it again.
The guys.
LDF, Legado del Fantasma. That's the one. Yes, Legado. I got it just before she said it. Legado del Fantasma was Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza, who is now Cruz del Toro. And we saw Cruz and Joaquin here. So when Elektra comes up, they're all excited to see her. But nobody's paying any attention to the women's breakout champion, Lola Vice, and you can see how irritated she is about that as she's giving them no love, and she's not smiling, and she's very angry. And yes, sorry. How dare I forget Legado del Fantasma again?
I'm sorry. Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice walked in the room. I'm giving all my attention to Lola Vice.
Well, you got to remember, the other guys know Elektra. They're friends with Elektra, so they want to talk to Elektra.
But Dragon Lee doesn't know her.
They don't work in NXT anymore.
But Dragon Lee don't know her. Why isn't he paying attention to Lola Vice?
Because he's not paying attention to anything. He's just looking at his championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lola Vice seemed very uninterested to the point where I think we're going to get a Lola Vice versus Elektra Lopez match. And as much as I love NXT for giving us women's matches and making women's storylines matter, please don't. I beg of you, NXT gods, please don't make me watch that match. I don't want to watch Elektra Lopez versus Lola Vice. And I love Lola. I think Lola's great. We then get the video package for the matches that are taking place next week at New Year's Evil, and we have confirmed Lyra versus Blair for the NXT Women's Championship, Tiffany Fallon versus Fallon Henley in a ranch hand versus servant match. Whomever loses has to be the servant of the winner, whether it be being a ranch hand if Tiffany Stratton loses or being Tiffany's servant should Fallon Henley lose.
But only for a day.
They said a day. I don't think it's going to be just a single day.
But they said it for a day. So
I know they said for a day. But
see? See?
Yeah,
Astrid
just
agrees
so
with
we're
me.
clear. Also last week, when Tiffany Stratton made this challenge, NXT announced this match that if it takes place, was going to be that if Fallon loses, she was going to be Tiffany's servant. There was no mention at all until tonight that Fallon Henley was going to be able to win and make Tiffany her ranch hand. So by next week, it could be a month. So we'll wait till next week. I get that it was on the graphic, but I'm telling you, last week's graphic only had if Fallon Henley loses, she becomes a servant. There's plenty of time for this to change again.
It's only for a day, bud. It's only for a day.
I pray, because I have a feeling Tiffany's losing this match and she's going to become a ranch hand. Because the reason why is that Tiffany won most of the matches leading up to this. So I have a bad feeling that they need to give the win to Fallon. And by the way, they should give the win to Fallon. She deserves the win, which unfortunately means that I'm going to have to see my poor girl Tiffany mucking out the stalls. And, I'm not going to be happy to see that.
It won't be Tiff time.
It will not be.
All I have to say now is it's Tiffy time.
It won't be Tiffy time. It will not be Tiffy time next week. However, other matches we got LWO versus 3 members of the Candy Crew, which, as Andre so conveniently pointed out, will absolutely certainly not be Charlie Dempsey. He will be in New Japan for a match that
No,
day.
no, all Japan. All Japan.
Astrid Bizarro. Didn't she win last time, but very quickly? Yeah, Fallon won, but then she got assaulted, and she got the mop in the face and the trash on top, and they're going to correct that. Anyways, we're also getting Roxanne Perez versus Ariana Grace next week. That'll be fun to see.
Roxy, baby, former ROH Women's Champion.
Yes. And apparently, for those uninitiated slobs, the first ever Ring of Honor Women's Champion. If you discount Kelly Klein and her championship, and if you discount...
She was the first ever ROH Women's Championship, because the title that existed before was the Women of Honor Championship. So they are 2 separate titles.
Yes, but it was the ROH Women's Championship, essentially. And it was won by... I love giving people shit about that one. Because, like, Roxy, the first women's champion in ROH. I'm like, yeah, if you don't count all the other women and Women of Honor.
I never said that. I just said...
No, I agree. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's people... There are certain accounts on Twitter that follow women's wrestling who make it like it's a big deal that they follow women's wrestling, and then forget the things that happened in the Women of Honor days, where you had people like Mandy Leone, and you had people like Taylor Hendricks, and you had people like what was her name? The Japanese lady who won the title in the first tournament.
Mayu Watani? No, was it Mayu?
No, I was thinking Mayu Watani too, and it's not her, but it's somebody like her.
Sumi Sakai, right? Yeah.
But of course, the other name on that list that needs to be mentioned, because ROH will definitely make sure you forget her, Kelly Klein.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Fallon is Astrid's coming in and saying Sumi Sakai as well. Yes, it was Sumi Sakai that we were trying to think of. Also, we're going to find out the winner of the men's breakout tournament, as Riley Osborne is going to take on Oba Femi. And the Oba feminists are going to be so happy when Oba gets the big win.
Oh, no. Mayu Watani did win the Women of Honor title.
At one point, yeah, she was the Women of Honor champion, but she wasn't. I was thinking of the first one who won the first tournament.
Yeah, that was Sumi Sakai. You're right. Yeah.
And then in the main event, I'm gonna skip to this segment now, and then we'll talk about the NXT Underground match to close the show.
Okay.
Ilya Dragunov will be taking on Trick Williams, as we had after the NXT Underground match. We had a backstage segment between Ilya Dragunov and
very well produced, by the way.
Fantastic. They found the smallest broom closet in the world to put these 2 dudes in there, by the way.
But it looked great. It made it look so good.
Yeah. There was no other things going on in the room. It was just a soundproof wall, a table, and these 2 dudes in a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Trick Williams says, look, if you want to go ahead and hold out a week, if you're not ready, that's fine. We can wait a little bit, and I'll take my chance once you're healthy. And Ilya looks at him, but Trick signs the contract anyways to put the ball in Ilya's court. And Ilya looks at him and goes, unfortunately for you, Trick, there is nobody and nothing that can make me miss this match next week.
He pulls off the collar,
throws it to the ground, grimaces a little bit as he signs the contract, and they shake hands. Fantastic segment. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot wait for this match to main event next week's New Year's Evil. Because I love NXT and I love the women, but there's no way in hell that you main event Lyra and Blair over this match next week.
No, this is the biggest match of them all. 100%.
Of all 6 matches that are on that card, there is no bigger match than the NXT Men's Championship match. And by the way, NXT has done a smart job of putting the women on in the main event slot every now and then as well. Mm-hmm. Remember, Tiffany Stratton versus Becky Lynch was the main event of that No Mercy show that got match of the year with Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes. That match that Carmelo and Ilya were in was not the main event of that show. That's how good that match was and how good that women's match was that main evented. Sean put all the faith in his women that night. They have no problem making sure that their women main event, but in no way, shape, or form should Lyra and Blair main event next week. And then we get Mel's favorite point of the night.
No. Mel's biggest fan, Eddy Thorpe.
Well, yes, but Mel was excited to see this as it was the only thing she was watching NXT for this week. Dijak versus Eddy Thorpe inside NXT Underground. And I love the aesthetic of NXT Underground. For those that don't know what it is, during the pandemic, in the early days of the pandemic, WWE made the very bad decision to put Shane McMahon inside to give him the chance to have his own little UFC fight ring, which was in the Performance Center in one of the backstage areas. They had a ring with no ropes and just ring posts, and they let him have a bunch of people just come out there and bare knuckle fight. But it was wrestling version of bare knuckle fighting.
It was bad.
NXT Underground is a fantastic version of this. They have the ring surrounded by the Performance Center talent. They tell you that these are the PC talent. These people.
Nathan Frazer was there.
No, he wasn't.
I swear to God,
all of that talent is talent who has not made it to television, who is all talent, who is just there to learn. All of these matches never have named talent. If you have a name in NXT, you are not part of the crowd here because this is strictly for the Performance Center talent so they can see up close and personal what these matches should look like.
I'm all about Blasphemous here.
We'll get to Blasphemous. Yes, maybe Punk can do MMA in NXT Underground.
Yes.
I you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we see NXT Underground make it to the main roster at some point for CM Punk to be in. Blasphemous also says they needed more women's. No, I disagree with that. I don't think they really needed more women's wrestling tonight. I think they had enough women's segments building to the 3 out of 6 matches we're getting next week that you can go with just the one women's match that was kind of short because you had enough segments featuring women to push this to another level. The women were featured just enough that you can get away with it because, like I said, you're getting half your show next week. A big show that you're promoting heavily is half of women's matches, which I think is unheard of for most places.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you imagine if AEW decided to have half women's matches on an episode of Dynamite?
Yeah, Tony would never do that. Come on.
What did you think of Dijak versus Thorpe inside NXT Underground?
Oh, this was great, man. I thought these two killed. This was my match of the night easy. Eddy I thought, man, like I wasn't a huge Carl Fredericks fan when he was in New Japan or in Japan Strong. But man, he's really turned his game up just coming to WWE. Yeah, just Eddy Thorpe, right, Mel? But yeah, dude, these two killed. Like they're both just beating the living piss out of each other. That somersault dive by Dijak to Thorpe on the floor. German, what do you mean? How dare you, sir? I was saying it's the only match you want to have with the guys is Eddy Thorpe on the show. That's what I'm saying. I'm being positive to you, Mel.
Anyways,
but dude, like him working the submission throughout, Dijak working the power. He had a triangle at one point, and Dijak just picks him up and power bombs the shit out of him. Like, dude, Dijak going Lance Archer in the middle of the match and beating up all the kids on the outside, going on Lance Archer on them, beating up young boys. Dude, it was great. Fuck the German onto the edge of the ring, and then Dijak rolling and getting his feast your eyes. Dude, these two killed it in the ring, man. Like, just both these guys just, I think, stepped it up, and like Eddy, I think, has cemented his place in NXT here with this match.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly cannot agree with you anymore. I thought this was fantastic. I love the idea of, as much as they're pushing Dijak, they put over Eddy Thorpe here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have reasonably put over Dijak in this match, and other than upsetting Mel tremendously, I think it would have made one sense, and two still would have been okay for Eddy's career. Mm-hmm. I don't think if Eddy would have lost here, it would have hurt him any more than it could have. Winning makes it better for him. By no means is there any argument in that. But I don't think a loss here would have hurt him badly.
No, but again, I don't think the loss doesn't hurt Dijak really that much either.
Agreed.
And it propels Fredericks a good bit, especially getting that Manifest Destiny through the table to finish it, and then him standing on the chairs as the refs calling it off, or standing on the stairs, the refs calling it off with all the performance center people around him. Just the perfect shot at the end, man.
Yeah, it was fantastic. What did you think of NXT Underground, the concept, the crowd around the ring, banging on the mat, these guys just going to town, and the no ropes? Because this is not something you'll see in New Japan. It's not something you'll see in Stardom.
No, again, well, I've seen there's been an odd couple with matches here and there that have removed the ropes and stuff, but they're never usually good. But no, I've seen the concept. I think I saw their first match. I'm not 100% sure, but dude, these two, like, just, I love the feel of it. It felt like a fight feel. It made me think more like PWG, because you had all the fans right on the apron at those shows, banging on the apron, but then fighting out into the people was just, I loved it. I thought this. I just really thought this main event was awesome. I'm so happy I got to be here for this show.
Astrid saying the atmosphere is so different. I agree. The gritty lighting, the lighting where they dim the entire crowd. You can't see the crowd at all. You only see the ring, and it's barely lit. It's lit enough to keep the superstars safe, but it didn't feel like a wrestling match. It felt like a fight. They gave it a big fight feel. They have the championship entrance type things where they have Alicia Taylor in the ring with the two guys side by side, that boxing style intro to the match. It gives it that extra bit, that big fight feel. Eddy Thorpe is now 2-0 in these matches. He beat Damon Kemp in the first NXT Underground match. He's now defeated Dijak in NXT Underground. Eddy Thorpe is the king of the Underground as far as NXT is concerned. And only time will tell where it goes from here.
When he gets to the main roster, he's going to bring back the Raw Underground.
God, I hope.
SmackDown Underground.
God, I hope not. Anyways, Andre, tell the good people where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter and other social media platforms at That Canada Guy, Instagram and Threads, and other social media platforms at That Canada Dude. You can find me talking about Japanese professional wrestling, which will include New Japan Stardom, and I'll be talking about the local Edmonton independent scene on Andre Melba Wrestling Talk. You can check us out over there. Please go and check that out. You can also find mine and Mel's stuff being all of our big shows for Stardom and New Japan will be simulcasted on SNME Radio. And don't forget to check us out December 30th, 31st. We'll be dropping a show talking about the Stardom Dream Queendom show. And on January 1st, we'll be dropping our interview with New Japan Pro Wrestling English commentator Walker Stewart. Check that out. Also, we will have our Wrestle Kingdom review coming out around the 5th, 6th of January, so check that out. And then we'll be coming soon, New Japan Stardom weekly reviews on OLE, was weekly as if there's a show. We're going to just do some wrestling wrap-ups, quick wrap-ups for you guys. Keep you up to date on New Japan and Stardom.
Yeah, so basically the shows that are on Andre and Melball are going to be intensive match-by-match recaps like what we do here on Taking Over, but for all the Stardom shows and all of the NWJP shows. When we get a version of that here on our local establishment, it's going to be a more like a best of the week. They'll talk about whatever shows might have happened that week, and they'll talk about the best matches, or they'll give you a quick rundown of this person beat this person in a quick review and a quick chat. They'll talk about the biggest stories of the week going on in those shows. You can also catch me and Andre every day until the 30th of this month. One of us or both of us or either or will be on Marvel Talk as we talk season 2 of What If. We are 5 episodes in. You can go ahead and check those episodes out on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/ourlocalestablishment. And you can see episodes like What If Nebula joined the Nova Corps? What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? What if Iron Man crashed into the Grand Master? And right after this show, please go check out the YouTube channel, as we will be dropping as soon as I hit the outro on this show. I will be pushing the go live button so that we can instantly premiere What If episode 5 of season 2. What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? You can also go ahead and check me out on Twitter at edfries12584. You can catch me on the Twitch at edfries2002, where I simulcast all of my our local establishment shows, as well as do some gaming content on there as well. But for myself, for Andre C., we'll be back next week talking all things New Year's Evil with Astrid Bizarro. But until then, we'll see you later. Goodbye.